Good morning. I'm Nancy Barron, and I'm a teacher of the visually impaired, and I'm also a technology instructor at a school for the blind. I wanted to provide this video for teachers to work with visually impaired and blind students in the use of an iPad and learning basic voiceover gestures. So I'll first discuss the orientation to the iPad, and then basic voiceover gestures using the home screen, and then demonstrate basic voiceover gestures when we're using a variety of apps that my students, who are elementary students, really enjoy using. I'm using an iPad 2018 with the latest iOS version of 13.3.1. And I also have my iPad in landscape view because I have it connected to a Bluetooth keyboard. As we begin the orientation, on the lower left-hand corner, we have the headphone jack. And in the upper left-hand corner of the iPad, we have the power, sleep, wake button. On the top left corner, the volume control. And on the right-hand corner, with a 3 o'clock position, we have the dock connector where you would connect your cord to charge your iPad. And that's also where on the screen you would have the home button. Now, I usually use VoiceOver with my students with the accessibility shortcut, which enables them to press the home button 3 times to enable VoiceOver. So I will do that now.
VoiceOver on. Google Calendar. Double tap to open. Landscape. Home button to the right.
And to show you where this VoiceOver shortcut can be enabled, I will come to Settings.
Settings. One new item.
And
Settings.
I will go
Selected.
to the
Control Center.
Accessibility menu.
Display and brightness. Home screen and accessibility. Button. Accessibility. Heading.
In this accessibility menu, all the
Touch.
way down at
Switch
the
control.
bottom,
Home. Apple T. Keyboard. Hearing. Audio. General. Guided. Siri.
you
Accessibility
would
shortcut.
come to the
VoiceOver.
accessibility shortcut that can be set
Configure
for a variety
accessibility.
of different
Back button.
things. Notice
Accessibility shortcut. Configure
as
and
we
click.
go
Triple
through
click home
it,
button 4. Heading. Assistive
you
touch.
could have assistive touch, you could have a
Reorder assistive
variety
touch. Classic invert colors.
of different low vision settings that would help our low vision students. But about halfway down through that list
Selected. VoiceOver.
is VoiceOver, and that is what I currently have the accessibility shortcut set to.
Dock. Settings. One new item. Double tap to open.
As I begin with my students, we talk about various concepts. For example, that the status bar is up at the top of the screen, and starting in the left-hand corner,
10:18 a.m.
they would have the time,
Swipe down. Saturday,
then
February
they would
15.
have the
Status bar
date,
item.
and as
Alarm
they
set.
move
Status bar
across
item.
to the upper
Swipe down with
right-hand
3 fingers to
corner,
reveal notification. Orientation lock. Do not disturb. Status bar item. 63% battery power. Not
especially
charging.
the upper
Status bar item.
right-hand corner will tell them
Swipe down
their
with 3 fingers to
battery
reveal notifications.
level
Swipe up
left.
with 3 fingers to reveal the control center. Double tap to scroll to top. Slide 1 finger up from the bottom edge until you hear the second sound. Then swipe down to reveal the dock.
Okay.
Google Calendar. Double
We
tap to
talk
open.
about we talk about the apps. The apps are in the center of the screen. It's basically a grid type pattern with rows and columns of apps. And at the bottom of the screen,
Dock. Safari.
we have the dock,
Double
which
tap to
are
open.
the most frequently used apps, and the dock remains constant when you move to different home screens. You can have multiple home screens. When you press your home button, you come
Calendar.
to your main
Double tap to
home
open.
screen. And the VoiceOver focus is usually up at the top of the screen. The VoiceOver focus is whatever VoiceOver speaks. And with that focus, there is a black box put around the app that signifies the VoiceOver focus. In the VoiceOver settings, which I will show you in a minute, you can set a VoiceOver large cursor, and that gives a much bolder black line around the icon, and it allows our students with some vision to be able to navigate even more easily with the visual cue there as well. So now to navigate on the home screen, using VoiceOver, we could do the Explore by touch, or the finger slide, where you just use your finger. I'm using my index finger of the right hand
Google Calendar.
to
Tasks.
slide
tap to open
along the
notes.
screen with
Double
my
tap to open
finger
Kindle.
remaining
Double
in
tap camera.
contact.
Double
I
tap
can
to
go
open.
across the top row
Kindle. Notes. Tasks.
all the way
Google
back to
Calendar.
the beginning of
Double tap
the
to open.
row and
Photos.
down to the next
Chrome. Double tap to open.
to orient myself to all of the apps. We talk a lot about where particular apps are located. For example, if you know an app is in the
Google Calendar.
upper
Double tap to open.
section, you can bring that focus to that section with a 4-finger tap towards the top of the screen. So I'm going to move the focus down
Maps.
towards the middle
Double tap to
and
open.
use the 4-finger tap,
Google Calendar.
and it
Double tap
brings
to
your focus to the top. So if I know an app is up near the top of the screen, I'm going to get there a lot faster if I first bring my focus closer to where that app is. So we've done the Explore by Touch, but now I can use a 1-finger flick to the right or the left to move to the next element or to move to the next app. So if I move,
Tasks.
I'm
Double tap to
moving
open.
my index finger from the left to the right. I am what they call flicking or swiping, and it's like I'm trying to move a little piece of dust off the screen.
Notes.
And
Double
every
tap to
time
open.
I move from the left to the
Kindle.
right, it moves
Double
to
tap
the
to open.
next
Camera.
app,
Double
and
photos.
we'll just continue
Double
down
tap
the
to Chrome.
screen. If
Double
I
tap to
move
open.
from the right to the left,
Photos.
it'll go
Camera.
backwards.
Double tap to open.
If I use 2 fingers and swipe up, the VoiceOver should read from the top of the screen down.
Google Calendar. Tasks. Notes. Kindle. Camera.
And then I
Photos.
can use a
Chrome. Voice stream
2-finger
reader.
tap
Messages.
to stop the VoiceOver. If I use a 2-finger swipe down, the VoiceOver will read from the current position down the screen.
Edit mode. Calendar. Saturday. Calendar. Saturday. Calendar. Saturday. Calendar. Saturday. February. Calendar. Saturday. Fed. Calendar. Saturday. February. Calendar. Saturday. Fed. Calendar. Saturday.
Well, it
Started editing.
should
Calendar. Is editing. Finished editing. Calendar. Saturday. Calendar. Saturday.
move
February
down
15th.
the screen.
Home. Google Calendar. Double tap to open. Voice Dream
Let's
Reader.
try to-
Voice Dream Reader. Messages. Calendar. Saturday.
That is
February
what
15th.
it's supposed
Easy
to do.
Reader. YT Kids. Maps. IXL. Google Key. App Store.
When you have the VoiceOver focus on a particular item and you do the 2-finger swipe down using my index finger and middle finger, it should read just like it did at that point. From Voice Stream, it read from that point further down the screen. So if I want to move to the next home screen, I can use 3 fingers and swipe
Double playground.
from the right to
Double
the
tap to open.
left, and it
Page 3
will
of 13.
continue to move
Blindfold
me
3D
to the
tic-tac-toe.
next home screen.
Double tap to
And
open.
notice that the dock remained the
Page 2 of
same
13. Playgrounds.
on each of
Home.
those.
Page 1 of 13. Google Calendar.
One
tap to open.
important feature that we use is the help, the VoiceOver help. If I use 4 fingers, which would be each finger except the thumb, and do a double tap,
Starting help. To stop help, perform
It
a 4-finger
will
double tap
put
or
me
2-finger
into-
scrub, or press escape on the keyboard.
it will put me into the VoiceOver help menu, and then I can practice those skills that we just worked on.
1-finger swipe right. Move to next item.
And it tells me when I do a certain gesture what it does. So 1 finger.
1-finger swipe right. Move to next item.
Now I'm swiping my finger to
1-finger
the
swipe
left,
left. Move to previous
and
item.
it tells me what to do. And to turn that VoiceOver help off, I'm going to use the 4-finger double tap.
4-finger double tap. Start help. Stopping help.
Okay. Before we go on, let's go ahead and review the VoiceOver menu in the settings. So I know my settings are down on the dock. If I didn't have the external keyboard connected, I could easily take my 4 fingers and tap towards the bottom of the screen to place my VoiceOver focus towards the bottom. But I'm not having good luck with that with the keyboard on. So I am just going to take my finger and slide
Dock. Safari.
from the
Double
lower
tap to open.
left-hand
Actions
edge
available.
along
Clock.
the dock
Hair.
until I
Files.
get to
Settings.
settings.
1 new item. Double tap to open.
And notice it said double tap to open. So I'm going to double tap with my index finger And a lot of my students have difficulty because they use more of their fingernail, and when they double tap, it does not open properly. So you really want to use the fleshy part of your finger when you're double tapping. And some of my students will, rather than double tapping because they have difficulty with their nail, they'll use their external keyboard and use the up and down arrows together in order to activate the item. So VoiceOver settings, we're coming to accessibility.
Selected. Accessibility.
Double tapping on the accessibility.
Vertical scroll. VO starter. Home button.
And
voice control. Switch control. Touch. Physical and motor. Motion. Display it. Magnify. Zoom. VoiceOver. On.
VoiceOver
button.
is at the top of the accessibility menu. So if we
VoiceOver. Accessibility.
double tap on the VoiceOver menu, we come into the actual menu. And it's very nice
on the screen.
that students can hear various hints of VoiceOver as they use their right flick
Double tap to activate the selected item.
to come down the VoiceOver menu. So they have a lot of nice hints
Swipe
there
to go home. To use the app. To
that
use the
we
dock,
will
to
just
use control
quickly
center, to use
run
notification
through.
center. VoiceOver practice.
This
Button.
is another area, just like that help button, where you could come into VoiceOver practice
Selected. General. Button. 1 of 2.
and swipe,
Grade.
right
Button.
swipe
2 of 2. VoiceOver practice. Done.
into
Button. Practice
the
VoiceOver gestures,
VoiceOver
commands, and
practice
typing in this
area,
Select the done button in the top right corner and double tap to exit.
and then use
One finger swipe right. Move to
your
next item.
your
One finger
gestures
swipe
to
right.
practice,
One finger swipe
and it
left.
won't be
Move to previous
affecting
item.
anything on your iPad when you do that. We talk about orientation concepts, like the done button is normally in the upper right hand corner.
55%.
The back button would
VoiceOver
be
practice.
generally in the
Button.
lower left hand corner. So we talk about those orientation concepts. As we continue to move down the VoiceOver menu,
Speaking rate. Speaking rate. 55%. Adjustable.
when you hear
Swipe
adjust,
up or down with one finger to adjust the value.
when you hear adjustable, you can move your finger up or down to adjust it.
65%.
So
75%.
moving my index finger up
85%.
increases my speaking rate,
75%.
and I can
65%.
decrease it by moving my finger down.
55%.
So I'm gonna
65%. 75%. 65%.
put it about 65%. Other items in the VoiceOver
Speech
menu,
button.
speech, setting different voices,
Verbosity.
verbosity, how much punctuation you want to be read, etc.
Braille. Orbit reader.
The
2,
Braille
0,
menu
2,
in
7,
here
3,
would
8.
be where
Button.
you would set a Braille display to be connected with your iPad. And I currently have been using an Orbit reader Braille display, so that's what comes up.
Audio. Button. Commands. Button.
You can set various
Activities.
commands
Button.
for VoiceOver.
Rotor. Button.
Rotor we'll talk about in just a little bit. A rotor is the VoiceOver way that you can change options for how VoiceOver reads. For example, you could read by character, by words, by lines, by what option you choose on this rotor. You could choose headings or links if you're on Safari, and navigate by those elements. Rotor actions, this
Button.
is where
Taps on home. VoiceOver. Back button.
you would set,
VoiceOver. Back button. VoiceOver. Rotor action.
actually
Rotor.
it's
Button.
in this one,
Selected. VoiceOver.
where you
Back
would
button.
set various elements that you want to show up on your rotor when you
VoiceOver.
use it.
60%. VoiceOver. Back button. 55%.
And
VoiceOver.
notice
Rotor. Button.
if, for example, I was double tapping on that back button, and if my finger is going up slightly or down slightly, since my rotor was last set on speaking rate, that is what's changing that percentage. So you have to be careful when you're double tapping that your finger's not moving up or down. But typing, this will be something
Button.
we'll talk
Typing
about a little bit
VoiceOver.
later.
Back button.
I have it set on
Typing style.
touch typing now,
typing. Standard typing.
and notice
Back
that
button.
there are a couple other choices. And I'll explain in a little bit
Typing.
why I
Back
have it
button.
on touch
50%.
typing.
Typing style. Typing. Typing. Typing style. VoiceOver. VoiceOver.
The last thing to point out really here is the large cursor setting.
Navigate images.
Notice here we
Descriptions.
have the
Button.
really dark black box around each item that the VoiceOver is focused on.
Large cursor.
And if we
off.
had the cursor off,
Always speak
then
notifications.
the
Off.
box around these items would be
Double
much
tap to toggle settings.
much thinner and more difficult if you are using vision.
Large cursor.
So I'm going
on.
to leave it on the large cursor. And
Dog. Settings.
let's
One new
talk
item.
about the rotor now
Double tap to
and
open.
how we can adjust the speed, make it a little bit faster using the VoiceOver rotor. You can think of the rotor as a dial, and using your thumb and index finger you can
Characters.
turn the dial.
Words. Speaking rate.
And it goes
Volume.
through the variety of
Hints.
different choices.
Volume. Speaking
You can
rate.
make it go clockwise or counterclockwise. A lot of my students have difficulty turning the rotor, turning the dial. So another way you can do it is putting one finger on the
App,
screen
IT Kids.
and then
Words.
using the other
App,
finger
weather. Words.
in
Chrome.
a semicircle
Hints.
around
Containers.
that
Headings.
finger that's stationary.
Braille screen input. Landscape. Characters.
Another way you can do it, which I find easiest, is taking both index fingers, moving one of them
Words.
up and one of them down at the same time.
Speaking rate. Volume. Hints.
And
Containers.
that
Headings.
will move you through the rotor. So if we
Braille
go
screen input.
to
Actions. Characters.
speaking rate,
Words. Speaking rate.
let's,
55%.
I'm moving my index finger up
60%.
to increase
65%.
my speaking rate. And remember that you can always change that speaking rate in the VoiceOver menu. So now let's look at some of the apps that my students have enjoyed using. I am going to
Google
start in the
Double
upper
tap to
left-hand corner with the VoiceOver Focus, and I'm going to flick to the Notes app.
Tasks. Notes. Double tap to open. Notes. Folders.
Okay,
Back
so
button.
I have the notes opened.
Folders. Back button.
Folders, back button is in that upper left-hand corner. So we note the
More. Saturday,
consistency
switch to full
between
screen mode.
apps.
Delete note. Dim.
And
Show new
the
note. Button.
new note
Double tap to compose a new
will
note.
always be over in the upper right corner. So they can slide their finger across, or they can use that flick, the right finger flick, to do that. I'm going to double tap to open.
Note. Text field is editing.
I've turned
Insertion
off the
point at start.
Bluetooth keyboard
Use
so
the rotor
that
to access misspelled words.
we can demonstrate how to use the on-screen keyboard. Since I have it set for touch typing, the student would place their finger on the keyboard, which is at the lower part of the screen, and just slide
Cap
the
W,
finger
Cap E,
across until they
Cap
find
R,
the letter
Cap T,
that they
Cap
want.
Y, Cap U.
So if I was going to say
Cap E, Cap G, Cap
hello, I would come
H.
to the letter I want, and then I would
Y,
just
T,
lift my
R,
finger and
E,
it would be
E.
inserted.
R T Y U I O L L L O O I
And
J
then you'd
N,
have to come
space,
down to put your
space,
space in between.
N H I O U T R E W E F V
Come down
space
for another
space
space.
How V F D S A F R E R T Y Y.
All right, there I didn't put
U,
the space in,
I, O,
so I'm
P,
coming
delete,
over
Y.
to the backspace.
U
I
H
lifted
N,
my finger, it backspaced
space
over
R
the extra character there.
Y.
And
Y O O
let's just
U, U.
finish this with how are you?
Comma, period. Shift. Selected. Shift. Question mark. U.
Okay. My students, every single one of them has a Bluetooth keyboard, so they are all reinforcing their touch typing skills on the keyboard, which has been a really good thing for them. But if they needed to use the on-screen keyboard, this is one of the first methods I would teach them. Recall that there are two other methods in the VoiceOver settings that would need to be evaluated as well. So if I wanted to read this, I'm going to double tap and try to put the insertion point at the beginning of what I wrote.
Activate. Default. Note. Hello, how are you? Insertion point at start of line. Hello, how are you?
Okay. Then I'm going to try the two-finger swipe down to read what I wrote.
Note. Text field is editing. Hello, how are you? Insertion point at start.
Okay.
Undo. Button.
And notice
Redo.
it
Dim.
continues
Button.
to read
Paste. Button.
long
Add table.
below
Button.
what I
Text
actually
styles.
had written.
Button.
So I'm going to
Checklist.
use my
Off.
two-finger
Button.
stop to stop my speech. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to take a different iPad because this one does not have internet. So I'm just going to switch to
10:35 a.m.
to another one that does have
Passcode
internet.
field. 0 of 4 values entered. Secure text field. Calendar. Saturday, February 15th.
And another app my students enjoy is the Easy Reader app. So I'm going
FaceTime.
to use my right flick
Photos.
to find
Easy
it.
Reader.
Easy Reader allows you to download books from Bookshare. And all of our students are members of Bookshare as one of the best libraries for students with visual impairments to access digital books. So I'm opening
Easy Reader. Side
Easy
menu.
Reader,
Button.
and the back button, which is called the side button in this app, is in the upper left. So I'm going to go back
My books. Button.
to the main menu, and it brings my focus to my books. When I double tap on that,
Ramona
I
Quimby.
can
Page 8. Ramona Quimby number 6.
start
Side menu.
in
Button.
the upper left-hand corner,
My
and
books.
I can
Head.
swipe
Collection view. Sword. Button. Search
to
field.
my
Ramona
books.
Quimby. Page 8. Ramona
Could
Quimby
you-
number 6. Beverly Cleary. Jacqueline Rogers. EPUB. Actions available.
Okay, I could use this if I swipe backwards
field.
to the search field. I could search for additional books in my list of books here.
Ramona
But
Quimby.
I'm
Page
going to
8.
take
Ramona
this
Quimby
very
number 6.
first
Ramona
one,
Quimby. Page 8.
double
Back
tap
to
on
last
it,
reading position. Side menu. Button.
and we would talk about the orientation, the side menu at the beginning,
Book. Ramona Quimby. Page 8.
towards
Text settings. Button. Ramona Quimby.
always
Page 8.
in the
Ramona
center
Quimby
of
number
the
6. Heading.
in the center of the top of the screen would be the name of the book, the major heading, and
audio
then
setting.
you
Text
have
settings.
audio,
Button.
you have visual settings,
settings.
and
Button.
audio settings in the upper right-hand corner. Another important feature is down in the lower
Book
left-hand
navigation.
corner,
Button.
the book navigation button, which I'm opening with a double tap. And
The first day of school. Level 2. 8%. Close.
starting at
Button.
the top, you have the close button in the left-hand corner,
Book navigation. Heading.
the main heading, which is book navigation,
Selected.
and then the
Headings.
tabs
Button. Pages.
along the
Button.
top.
2 of bookmarks. Button. Pages. Button. 2 of 3. Selected. Headings. Button.
So
1 of 3.
headings is selected, and this would be very helpful for students needing to find a particular chapter in a book. If the book has been organized by chapters, they can use this navigation. And I'm going to come down
1. Level 1. 8%.
to chapter 1
1. The first day of school. Level 2. 8%.
and select that.
The first day of school. Side
This
menu.
puts me at
Button.
the beginning of the book, at the beginning of that first chapter.
Search. Button. Bookmarks. Button. Ramona Quimby. Age 8. Text settings. Button. Audio settings. Button. Book options. Button. 1. Heading level 1.
So chapter 1,
The first day of school. Heading
and then
level 1.
the heading for chapter 1. The play button is in the bottom center, and I could start with my
navigation.
finger in the
Button.
lower left corner and come to the
Play.
center to locate it and double tap on that. But the nice thing about one of the VoiceOver gestures is you can also do a 2-finger double tap to start and stop your book. And that's often called the magic tap because it's used for like starting and stopping books, videos, phone calls, for starting and stopping your media.
The first day of school. Ramona Quimby hoped her parents would forget to give her a little talking to. She did not want anything to spoil this exciting day. Haha, I get to ride the bus to school all by myself. Ramona bragged to her big
So
sister,
now to
Beatrice, at
stop
breakfast.
the
Her stomach
voice,
felt
I'm
quivering with
going to
excitement
do
at the-
that magic tap, the 2-finger double tap. Coming up
Vertical scroll. Book option.
to
Audio settings.
the
Button.
audio settings.
Audio settings. Head. Voice. Samantha. English United States. Voice settings. Button.
To go into the voice settings button, I'm going to use a double tap.
Rate. 70%.
And you
voice
can
settings.
double tap
Back.
anywhere
Back
on
button.
the screen as long as your VoiceOver focus is where you desire it. Tapping anywhere on the screen does
Voice
not
settings.
matter.
Heading. Rate. 70%.
This is where you would change your rate, your pitch, volume, the pauses between sentences. And if I am now on rate, if I flick
70%. Adjustable.
If I flick one more time, I get to the
Screen
adjustable setting here, and if
80%.
I use my finger and flick up,
90%.
I can increase my rate
80%. 70%. 60%.
or decrease the rate. So anytime it says adjustable, you can use your one flicker up or down to adjust it.
Back. Back button. Back. Audio
Okay.
settings. Easy
Another
reader.
app that they have enjoyed is YouTube Kids. And not knowing where it is, I'm just going
Camera.
to keep
Notes.
flicking until I
YT
come
Kids.
to it. So YT Kids for YouTube Kids. And
YT Kids.
I
Back
picked this
button.
one also to show the back button being in the left. And once they start a video, since they're going to be using YouTube videos in a lot of their classes, they can still use that magic tap to open and close the play and pause the video.
Button to navigate to channel page.
So I just picked this video. It's 2 cellos, Pirates of the Caribbean. It's from actually an 8 to 12-year-old age group
2 cellos.
choices.
Pirates of 2 cellos. 4.8 AM.
Just to
Subscribe.
demonstrate
Cast.
that
Button.
magic tap
Airplay.
again.
Button. Volume control. Button.
So I'm using
Search.
the right
Button.
flick
Video player. Heading.
to get to the video player,
More actions. Button. Play.
and then
button.
to get to the play button. Then we're going to double tap to start the video.
Play. Pause. Button.
And then I'll use the 2-finger double tap, magic tap to stop. So they could be watching a video, they need to take notes, they can start and stop the video easily. So using the same 2-finger double tap to start and to stop. So that's YouTube, and they enjoy that.
YT Kids.
Siri is another one. They love asking questions to Siri. So holding the home button, Siri comes on.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Weather in Colorado Springs.
It's currently clear and 34 degrees in Colorado Springs. Temperatures are heading down from 37 degrees to 28 tonight.
So it obviously answers the question, but in addition, they can use their voiceover gestures to read more information that's on the screen.
Weather in Colorado Springs. It's currently clear and 34 degrees Fahrenheit in Colorado Springs. Temperatures are heading down from 37 degrees to 28 tonight.
So that's what voiceover Siri had originally read,
Weather.
but
Heading.
they can
Colorado
continue.
Springs. Sunny. Chance of rain. 11 a.m.
And just
34.
by
Button.
using the right flick, they can
12 p.m. 36.
they
Button.
can go through and find more information down a chart which has all the times and the temperatures. So they really enjoy using
Calendar.
Siri,
Saturday.
and
February
VoiceOver
15th.
can be used for that. And one last app, many of them love setting alarms
FaceTime.
the-
Photos. Easy reader. Camera.
on the
Notes.
clock.
YT Kids. Contacts. Maps. Clock. 10:43 a.m.
So I came to clock
Edit.
and
Dim.
I
Button.
opened it with the double tap,
Alarm.
and
Heading.
I'm now right swiping
Add button.
to the add button.
Cancel. Button.
And what I wanted to point out here is how they would set an alarm with a picker item. As
Add alarm.
they
Heading.
flick to the right, add alarm,
Save. Button.
pass the save
10
button.
o'clock. Picker item. Adjustable. 10 of 12.
This is another adjustable item called the picker item, which you can
11
use
o'clock.
your finger eye swiped up
12 o'clock.
to
1
set
o'clock.
later times,
12 o'clock.
or I can
Dismiss
swipe
pop-up.
down to go backwards. Then I swipe to the right.
Cancel. Button. Dismiss pop-up. Repeat. Never. PM. Picker up. 43 minutes. 12 o'clock. Picker
Okay,
item.
so here we
Adjustable.
were at the
12 of 12.
hour. Now I'm
43 minutes.
swiping to
Picker
the
item.
right.
Adjustable. 44
Same
of 60.
thing. You would
44
go
minutes.
up or down
43 minutes.
to set your picker item.
PM. Picker item. Adjustable. 2 of
Another
2.
picker item for AM or PM.
PM.
Then they would
43
just
minutes.
swipe
Picker item.
to the
Adjustable.
left
12 o'clock.
back to
Save.
the save
Button.
button, and they would save whatever
Edit.
their alarm
Button.
was.
Clock. 10:44 a.m.
So I'd like to thank you for listening to this video
10:45
today.
a.m.
There's VoiceOver again. I'd like to thank you for listening to this video today, and to get an idea of the apps and gestures that my students, my elementary students, are learning here at the School for the Blind. If you have any comments or questions, make sure to leave them down below the video. And I'd really like to thank Carl Ryman for his help in recording this video today. Thank you very much.